This is the Bree6 from GS Music, a tiny 6-voice, fully analog polyphonic synthesizer made by hand from a company in Argentina that sounds absolutely massive. What's up and welcome back to another video. My name is Devin Belanger and today, yes, we are covering the much anticipated Bree6 from GS Music. So it's been a while since my last video, but there's a good reason for that. I've been on the road performing and promoting my brand new collaboration with Sabai, Fuck It, I'm Alright, which is out now. I've been able to perform this in front of crowds of 10, 20,000 people, which is absolutely unreal. And I'm actually gonna be going on tour supporting Sabai on his Fuck It, I'm Alright North America tour. So if you wanna hear the song, that would mean the world to me. The link is in the description. Anyways, back to what you're probably here for, the beautiful Bree6 synthesizer from GS Music. This is a sponsored video as I was hired to design a bunch of the factory presets for this synth, which you will get those if you do grab one of these. Absolutely amazing. So let's start off with a demo track. No external reverb, no external delay. Let's hit it. I think the character of the synth really shines through in a simple demo track like that, where there's no reverb, there's no extra processing, there's really not much going on besides the drums and 3 instances of the Bree6. This is absolutely a synthesizer that just has character and analog mojo in spades. And for how small it is, it's really something that I've enjoyed being able to just whip out and add to any setup without taking up really much real estate at all. Did I also mention that the Bree6 supports MPE and is fully MPE capable? So if you have your favorite MPE controller like the Osmos, Linstrument, or in my case, Seaboard, you can just plug it in and there you go. You've got an analog MPE synthesizer that takes up roughly the same amount of space as a large guitar pedal. Next up, let's jump onto the front panel of the Bree6 and learn how it works, and more importantly, see how quick it is to design sounds and just fly along the knob per function interface and really just enjoy the beautiful sweet spots that this synth has. All right, so here we are on the front panel of the Bree6, and as you can see, the size is really quite something special. Let's go ahead and initialize a preset. I've got a bunch of init presets at the end here, and right off the bat, we are greeted with a beautiful sounding saw wave. Lovely, right? We've got aftertouch. This keyboard only supports channel aftertouch, but the synthesizer supports MPE, which is really cool. And then of course, mod wheel. Pitch bend, you can control this guy with any keyboard you want. I've got the third wave here. But for size perspective, right? Like, look how tiny this thing is. And it's actually even smaller than it looks because this is on an elevated platform. But enough about the size. As you can hear, the sound is really the highlight of this synthesizer. Like I was talking about in the intro, the synthesizer doesn't even have or need a vintage knob. It just sounds vintage. Like, that's the coolest thing about these GS Music synths, is that they really have a pure and powerful and alive characteristic. And I'll prove that to you by just jamming a little bit on just literally an oscillator. The only thing I'm going to do is change from saw to pulse and play with some release. Like, wow, absolutely beautiful. Let's change to the pulse wave, which I love the pulse waves on GS synths. And I know I don't usually spend so much time on just like the initial oscillators of the synthesizer, but they sound so good on the Bree6 that it really, I wanted to do this because it sort of justifies, in my opinion, why this synth for the size and feature set is still the price that it is, which I believe is $999 US, which seems expensive for, you know, what is essentially a pretty limited synth, but you're buying this for the tone and for the fact that it just sounds right. Like, you heard the intro track, it's so easy to mix. It just sounds so good. And whether or not that's what you're looking for, that's a whole nother matter. Like, a lot of people I know understand and want like a more fully featured synth, but if you just want something that like has this sound and sounds this good and is knob per function, built super well, and is like completely foolproof, like it's so easy to get good sounds out of this, then the Bree6 is awesome. Let's do one more oscillator only. I'm combining the pulse and square, and then I'll bring in the sub oscillator. Like, so good, right? Shift, and now sub oscillator. Let's take off the dual oscillators here, so we'll just do saw and sub. Pulse and sub. Let's turn off the sub oscillator. Pulse width. Accidentally hit the PWM. We'll look at that in a second. Let's bring it in now. We've got one LFO. We're doing pulse width modulation. Really nice fast LFOs. Like, you're not getting FM on this, but the LFOs can go fast enough that you're kind of getting FM. We can change the wave shape. That's a really cool one. The sample and hold, which basically becomes like white noise if you speed it up to the maximum rate. Take that off our PWM and we have, again, everything is knob per function. It's really easy to use. As you can see, we've got our LFO mod for the pitch, which we're gonna send to this audio rate, FM noise mod, like Prophet style lo-fi patch. Like, right, it's deceivingly simple because you can really get a variety of tones. I've been using the Prophet 10 a whole bunch, which has become one of my favorite synths ever. And in a certain way, this reminds me a bit of like a Prophet or a Juno, because what you see is what you get, but there's a lot of little hidden nooks and crannies, right? Like, we're getting essentially like a lo-fi tape sound with just this simple one oscillator basic architecture because it just sounds so good. Let's bring in the filter, which is excellent. Same filter as the GS Music E7. This is like a classic example of a filter that rewards you if you learn it. Put in some filter modulation. A little bit of pulse width. Let's go down an octave. Like, we're getting some pretty interesting timbres here, and we only have one oscillator, right? So let's go ahead and play with the resonance a little bit, because if you've seen my GS Music E7 videos, and as much as I love this lo-fi sound, I'm just gonna turn it off for now so you can hear clearly what's going on. The GS Music style of ladder filter is very sensitive, which can be a good thing and a bad thing depending on if you know what to expect. I personally love it because it's essentially like you're getting an EQ with the resonance, right? Like, every ladder filter is gonna roll off bass when you turn off resonance, but the E7 and the Bree6, their filter really, like, it goes quick. So if we have no resonance, play a bass, that's a bit low. Very bassy. Put up resonance to half. There's like no bass anymore. It sounds beautiful, but right? It's like way more thick and almost too thick, I would say. So a big way that I like to use the filter on this synth, and it'll kind of determine if you like the filter on this synth, which I love. Same thing with the GS Music E7. I love it. Basically, you're going to want to use this almost like an EQ, where almost every sound that I make has a little bit of resonance at least. Like, if we turn the cutoff all the way to the top, we'll go to a saw wave, right? Look at that. It's like a beautiful, like, really nice analog high shelf EQ. To me, that's not quite bright enough. We bring it into like here. And that's just a lovely track. Like, when I'm, lovely patch, sorry, when I'm recording this into tracks, I'm adjusting the resonance in real time. Enough about the filter in terms of the tonality of it. We'll play with it some more. We've got modulation for it, of course. We're still in that cool kind of lo-fi style. Like, how good does that sound? I'm absolutely obsessed with this white noise sample and hold LFO. I love it on this. I've been making so many patches that have that lo-fi tape effect. Like, you really can't make this thing sound bad, which is really funny, you know? I briefly touched on the envelopes, but it is fantastic that we get 2 fully featured ADSRs with graphical representation. That's something that I find a lot of like small portable synths usually cut corners on, and it's so important. Like envelopes, maybe unpopular opinion, they are one of the most, if not the most important sound shaping tools. So yeah, we'll go to the final little bit of modulation here. We've already looked at filter mod. We've got amplitude mod too. Seems like a small thing, but I'm really happy they included this because even my Prophet 10 doesn't have amplitude modulation with LFO. For those lovely tremolo sounds. I know someone's gonna make fun of the way I say that, but I'm Canadian. And also just don't know how to pronounce words properly. Right, like, I know it's cliche to compare everything to the Prophet or the Juno, but it reminds me a bit of that because it's so simple, but it sounds so good. And like, you're gonna write songs with this. And if you're looking for the box that's gonna be the next final frontier of sound design, this is not it. But if you're gonna look for something that adds just like an immediacy of a high quality analog sound that you can't really get this quickly, at least with most other synths, this thing is just a slam dunk. Like, it sounds so good. We've got keyboard tracking for both the amplifier. Keep getting lost in these sounds because they sound so good. Like just a little chill E piano sound like this. We just sub-oscillator it. And what a perfect sound to segue into our final section, which is our voices mode, our detune, our chorus, and our delay. So voices mode, I pretty much leave this thing in poly stereo all the time. It's just a preset voice pan mode. Without it on, you just get that classic mono sound, which is nice, don't get me wrong, but for whatever reason, like the way that GS Music have voiced the poly stereo mode, it's really nice. Like it's well balanced where it, usually I don't love pan spread on a lot of sounds, but it sort of suits this synth well. I don't know why, but I mostly use it on poly stereo. Got mono. Go and make some bass sounds, some leads, and then unison, where all 6 VCOs play in unison. And a perfect way to test this unison, let's go down an octave here with detune. This works on all the modes, by the way. So if you have like a poly patch, you just want to ruin it with detune. But the cool thing about this synth is because it's so natural and organic, I rarely even have to use any of the detune, maybe a little bit of it, maybe like this. But with no detune, like the way it's voiced is so wild and organic already, it just has that sound. Like you don't really need to mess with it. You don't really need to fuck with it. Okay, let's go back to the mono mode to test out the chorus. Full chorus. It's a really good chorus, I have to say. I think it's significantly better than the GS Music E7 chorus, at least the one that shipped with. If it's the same chorus and this is a placebo, then that's really funny. But to me, it sounds different, and I believe it is different. And it's really nice at low settings. The E7 chorus, at least in its initial state, I felt like sucked the tone a little bit, but this chorus, you can have it at like 50%, 50 amount. And your dry signal is still really powerful and really warm and nice. But if you wanted to add 100% as well, the sound is still like, it's not so mushy, and it just really works well. I really like the chorus. The delay, similarly, I mean, it's a basic delay, but it works. I have a theory that these effects, because like the actual core sound of the synth sounds so freaking good, it doesn't really matter that they're pretty simple effects. Let's throw this into poly stereo. Like, wow, that's like a song idea right there. That's beautiful. All right, so wrapping up the walkthrough, let's move on to some pros and cons, and more importantly, who is this synthesizer for? So the elephant in the room is that the Bree6 is really priced like a boutique instrument versus, your brand new first synthesizer. As I'm making this is about $999 US to grab it. But you really do see where the money went. The build quality is exceptional. It's all metal shafts. There's no crappy plastic pots or anything like that. All metal enclosure. It's really weighty. But just putting that out there, like, you might think from the feature set, this is like your first synthesizer, but I think it's actually much more something that you're gonna add to an existing setup. Let's say if you have, for example, the third wave, but you want a really classic VCO poly sound to add on because you're just finding the digital oscillators are not quite getting you there, or you have a Waldorf Iridium that can do everything under the sun, but you want something that's a bit more immediate. The Bree6 is pretty much that in a nutshell. It's literally impossible to make this thing sound bad. Every single setting and knob you twist sounds good, and the VCOs and filters are among the best I've heard. Seriously, this little thing rivals the sound of my Prophet 10 or my OBX8, which is absolutely wild. but all that comes at a cost because you are getting essentially a very limited synthesizer. There's only one oscillator per voice. There's no unison in terms of like being able to do the classic 2 oscillator, 2 detuned saw waves. There's only 6 voices if that's important to you. And there's not a lot of kind of like modulation options besides the 1 LFO and a couple of the settings in the control setting there. But the trade-off is, again, you're getting this amazing sounding synth and it's MPE capable, which I think is a total like game changer and really makes or breaks the synth. I think that if you're looking for a amazing sounding analog MPE synthesizer and something like the Deckard's Dream or the GS Music E7 is out of your budget, this is an awesome fit. That's a really big pro for me, is the MPE capability and just how good this sounds. Overall, I always love what GS Music puts out. If you're wondering, should you get the E7 or the Bree6, I think it really comes down to, again, whether you need a fully featured polysynth that is really going to be your main polysynth, or you want this additional synth that's going to add on to a rig you already have. But if you're saving money and you can only afford either the Bree6 or the E7 as your one main synthesizer, in that case, I would probably save up a little longer and go for the E7 as it's a more fully featured synth. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks to GS Music for sponsoring this video. If you do want to get your own Bree6 or E7, you can use the link in my description, and it's an affiliate link for Perfect Circuit. Every little thing helps me keep the channel going, especially as I get busier and busier with this upcoming North America tour for Miles Away. Thank you so much for supporting. Again, if you haven't heard the song, go check it out in the description, and I will see you guys in the next video.